Okay, we in here. Ooh, okay, let's see. I gotta make a couple little adjustments here. We there? We here? Okay. Hello and welcome to the Inner Game of Entrepreneurship podcast. I'm your host, Sarah, and I am here today with your Cancer season and summer solstice or June solstice, depending on your hemisphere, reading for the collective. I'm very excited about this reading. It feels very clear to me. The guidance feels very clear. My channel came through very clear. Spirit came through very clear on this message. So, um, if it's for you, it's for you, and you will know. And if it's not, have a nice day. We're just gonna, if you're new to these readings, I do the same 6 prompts, the same 6 questions in the same order every time. And we do them on the first day of a new astrological season. I actually pulled all of the cards and took all of my notes yesterday, but I didn't have time to make the video. So I'm happy to be able to come in and make this video for you now. It still stands as summer solstice guidance or June solstice guidance, even if it's not the solstice anymore. Um, and I'm reading from the Sacred Rebel Oracle deck by Lana Fairchild. That's the main deck that I read from for these readings. And also I forget who makes this, but the Shadow deck are the 2 decks that I read from. I always pray over the cards, shuffle over the cards, set my intention to ask these questions for the collective. And I take notes because I don't want to go on forever and ever, which I really easily could. So I have to organize myself in this way. All right, so we're going to just jump in and get started. So we're starting with what is the current situation? What's going on for y'all out there in the collective? And the current situation we got is legacy of light. And you see me looking different places. I'm live in 2 places at once. So you might be watching on YouTube. Thank you for being here. You might be watching on Instagram. You might be listening on the podcast. Wherever you are, I'm excited that you're here. So the legacy of light, right now, you're being asked to honor the legacy of light that is your birthright. So whether you're already in motion, doing the thing that you feel is your calling, or you've been holding yourself back, I feel like a lot of this reading is for people who are holding themselves back. Maybe you've already started your creative business, you're already in motion as an artist, but there's something bigger, something different, something more aligned with your truth that you're wanting to do, and you've been holding yourself back from doing it for reasons that we're going to get into as we go into the block. But you're feeling this stirring that you're like not on your correct path. You're just not on it. You're being asked to honor the legacy of light that is your birthright. It is a time to draw on nourishment and support from those who came before you, right? So not just your ancestral bloodlines, though some of it is that, but also your artistic or creative lineage, the lineage of your craft, whatever it is that you do, and your spiritual lineage. So maybe there are people or beings who have inspired and motivated you to do the work that you're doing now, to live from your heart, to believe in yourself, to do the work that you want to do. The more you allow yourself to be nourished by legacy and your past, the more you become the bearer of that legacy for those who are going to be supported by your work in the future. This is a sacred endowment from source to humanity, right? That's what legacy is. I was thinking a lot this morning and over the past few days about the artistic legacy for me as a dancer of like things my teachers taught me. And I talk a lot in my classes about how important it is that I say the phrases my teachers said, that I give the corrections my teachers gave, that I teach the things my teachers taught me, because many of my mentors have passed on. And so if I don't teach their teachings in my classes, those teachings die out. I'm part of a legacy. So thinking about who founded or who created the thing that you do, the actual tradition that you study and that you practice, and your mentors, the people who wrote books, like how do you take those things and weave them through your work and take seriously that you are part of a creative lineage on the planet and that this is a sacred endowment, again, from God, from source to humanity. This path, being in the legacy of light, is a path of wisdom, creativity, radical courage, love, and respect that is passed down from each generation of creator to the next, each generation of practitioner to the next. The people before us had to do this thing. They had to strike out on their own and do the dangerous thing, the challenging thing, the thing that made everyone think that they were crazy. They did it so that you could do it. And if you don't do it, you're not honoring the lineage of your own path, of your own creative track. Feeling a little bit like I'm struggling with words today, so bear with me. Hopefully, my words are going to start to get better as I go. And I'm also trying to be careful because everyone's path is different. This may be about an art path. It may be a creative path, but it also may be maybe you're a Reiki practitioner, maybe you're a tarot reader, maybe you're a spiritual practitioner of some sort, maybe you're a coach. There are still mentors, guides, pillars of your industry who did all of this work in the past so that you could be part of this lineage. And when you're not living in that and honoring it, you are off path. This legacy is your spiritual birthright to refine and to shine your essence into the world, to be like the sun, radiant and unapologetic of your nature. That's who you're meant to be. And by being that, you honor all of those who came before you, who made it possible for you to be that. So this oracle comes to you when you need confirmation that the creative choice that you're making, have recently made, or are going to make soon is in alignment with your sacred purpose and your spiritual path of healing and growth. And that's why I said I feel like this reading is really clear that some of you you're in motion, but there's something that you've been knowing is a next octave of what you're supposed to be doing, and you've been holding yourself back on it. This card is like, hey, you're supposed to do that thing. It is part of your lineage. It is part of your spiritual path. It's part of your healing and part of your growth for you to honor this thing. It's really important to understand that the legacy of light cannot be ignored without there being a detriment to your sense of well-being. Many of us who are in tune know this. When you're off your path, when you're not doing the things you're supposed to be doing, it doesn't go well, right? Things will start to happen to get you back on your path. There's that phrase like God sends a pebble, then a boulder, then a bus. You are off path, you're not doing the right thing, then suddenly you're losing opportunities. Your car dies, somebody breaks up with you, like stuff just starts happening. And all of it, like when you start feeling like life is happening to you, it's a really good time to step back and be like, am I off my path? Am I not doing the stuff I'm supposed to be doing? Because all of these little quote unquote inconveniences are source trying to get you back right, trying to get you back where you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be going that way. That's why your car died. You're not supposed to be going that way. That's why that job fired you. You're not supposed to be going that way. So you have to understand that the legacy of light cannot be ignored without there being consequences. You just need to be on your path. That's where you're meant to be. You need to trust more, and you need to know that no matter what appears to be going on, all is well, but you have to ask for help from your community. You have to ask for help from the people around you, and you have to believe that you deserve to receive that help. You also need to ask for help from your lineage, from the ancestry of your lineage, whether that's your actual family lineage, your spiritual lineage, or the lineage of people in your tradition who came before you. Make them an altar. Ask them for help. Ask them to help you with creativity. Ask them to help you feel more inspired. Ask them to open doors for you for opportunities to come. They want to be involved. They want to help you. They want to see you succeed. And you need to call on them. You need to call on the unconditionally loving support that exists for each of us each and every day. The legacy itself, the legacy of light itself, offers us all sorts of assistance. And not to call on it is like starving because you didn't even know you had the means to get food, right? I think all the time about like, okay, you ask God for cake and you receive eggs and flour and sugar and a bowl and an oven, but you walking around complaining you don't have cake. You have all of the means. You're being given all of the guidance. You're being given all of the signs. They're all showing up. But you're not looking at the places where you're resourced. Maybe because you kind of want it, you have a specific idea of what it should look like, or you want it to be handed to you a certain way. You want it to show up fully formed without you having to take any risks. It doesn't work like that. So, first of all, you must call upon the guidance of your lineage, of your ancestry. But then when things start to show up, when tiny little spots of resource start to show up, you have to understand what those things are and you have to act on them because they are gifts from the beings of unconditional love who are assisting us every day. When you embrace your spiritual guides and your ancestors and your lineage for their true purpose, which is to assist you with spiritual growth, they want to, right? Your ancestors want to help you. Say it again, because I keep saying ancestors. I want to make sure we understand what I mean. When I'm saying ancestry and lineage, I do mean your actual family. I also mean your spiritual lineage. And I mean the lineage and ancestors of the traditions of the path that you participate in, your art, your craft. They want to help you. They want to see you win. Their true purpose is to assist with your spiritual growth and with the growth of humanity. They are part of the legacy and they want to live through you. They want to help illuminate their path and their tradition to the world. And this is especially true in dark moments when you feel like nothing is going well. You cannot only believe this in the moments where you feel like everything is going well. During your darkest moments, when it feels like you have nothing, when it feels like everything is against you, that is the most important time to ask this question. Where am I resourced? Where am I resourced? Maybe it is just in your ancestry. Maybe it is just in that moment where you have nothing, but you can sit on the floor and you can talk to your folks. Where am I already resourced? It's really easy during our dark moments to say, I have nothing. No one is helping me. Nothing is here for me. That sends us farther off path. So if you're in that moment, you need to start asking yourself, where am I already resourced? And you need to start asking your lineage for support. When you are coming from love with pure intentions to live your life on path and to do your best in all circumstances, I want to say that again, to do your best. There's that phrase, we are all doing our best, right? I don't think we are all doing our best most of the time. I think a lot of us I think our best requires effort, right? My best, I know the difference between my best and when I'm phoning it in, and so do you. I know the difference between my best and my bullshit, and so do you. So you need to ask yourself, am I actually doing my best? Am I actually putting my best foot forward? Am I doing my part? Am I really trying? Am I living in accordance with divine law? Am I taking good care of my body? Am I tending my relationships? Am I tending my mental and emotional health? Am I grounded in the practices that hold my heart? Right? I know for me, when I'm not grounded in the practices that hold my heart, what happens when I stop doing my morning practice, when I stop journaling, when I stop doing my gratitude practice, when I stop exercising, when I stop drinking enough water, when I, drink too much alcohol, right? Like these things where we're like, sometimes we're not doing our best. We're phoning it in. We're spending 9 hours a day on our goddamn cell phone. You're not doing your best. So that was a little detour, but like when you're doing your best, which why don't we try that for the summer? When you're coming from love, living with pure intentions, and doing your best in your circumstances, when you're availing yourself with the spiritual health that is awaiting you, your requests start to open a path for you to start shining your light, the light of your own brilliance on earth, right? When you're doing your best, when you're living with pure intentions, when you are accessing the spiritual help that is awaiting you, when you're making requests to your lineage, to your ancestry, then you are going to start to see paths open for you to do the work you want to do. Another thing that this oracle does say is I keep saying, I'm talking about the lineage and the ancestry of your family and your tradition and your spiritual lineage. But this card also suggests that there may be something in your actual family history or your spiritual ancestry that is particularly important for you right now. So this can be both like traditions and cultures that you're interested in. It doesn't necessarily have to be the spiritual tradition you were raised with in this lifetime, though it may be. So there may be something like you keep getting a calling about a certain spiritual tradition, pay attention to it. But the other thing that may be coming up, and we're going to get into this more when we get into the block, is that something may be coming up about the tradition you were raised with, the traditions of your family, whether those are cultural traditions or spiritual traditions, like say you were raised in a very religiously conservative environment or something, that is actually like coming up as needing to be looked at because it's holding you back. So this is very for like a very specific subset of people. This is not going to apply to everyone, but if it's applying to you, you know it. Um, Sometimes we unintentionally absorb the hidden fears of our parents or our religious upbringing, right? Maybe that's the belief that you can't be successful as an artist, that dreams don't come true, that money is the root of all evil, that you have to compromise who you are in order to be safe in the world and be successful, right? So if you're relating to any of that, if you're feeling like, oh, I know what I want to do, I know what my path is, but I'm scared to pursue my path because it's so outside of my family traditions, or I have like literal religious trauma around how I was raised. Um, you're being asked right now to seek the healing you need to address that stuff. I've worked with a lot of people who have religious trauma, and it's a big deal, right? Sometimes being raised in cults, in very conservative religious traditions, in environments where everyone needs to behave a certain way or get married or like live a certain way, that it can really fuck us up. And so this is saying like there's for some of you, there's something about the way that you were raised and the traditions of your lineage, your actual family lineage, that may need some addressing in order for you to get on your path. And like you can't avoid that anymore. It's time for you to just go out and seek that support. So whether that's like get on Google, find a therapist, whether it's finding a support group for people with religious trauma, reading books, like whatever it is you need to do to address that at some point something connected to the religious traditions of your family lineage is holding you back, and you have to address it in order to be on your path. The next thing that comes up that's also for just a subset is that if you're involved in any group creative projects right now, this oracle asks you to stay true to the heart of why you started working together with this group in the first place. And it wants you to seek assistance, protection, and guidance from the source who loves everyone involved in this project, right? Source loves everyone unconditionally, not just you, but everyone in the project. So if you're involved in some group creative project right now that feels challenging, you need to remember why you started working together, and you need to ask for guidance, protection, and assistance from source for everyone involved, not just for yourself. So the final note on this, if you just needed a jolt to recognize and remember that you are a creative being who is entitled to explore your ingenuity and your brilliance, whether that's taking a class, pursuing your artistic interests, starting the business you want to start, doing the pivot that you want to do, like going for this next thing that you want to go for, the guidance around this is it's part of your path and you're meant to do it. You're meant to do it. That's why it keeps coming up for you. This oracle is also acknowledging that you are recognized by spirit as having some special creative or healing offering that is going to make the world a better place. Your desire to do your work is not selfish. It's not just about you. You're meant to do that work because it's going to benefit others. Spirit wants you to do it. Source plants us here in bodies to experience itself through us. So the desires that you have, the things that you want to create, I think, and we're going to get into this again with the block card, it can be really easy for us to be culturally programmed to believe that our desire to do our big W work, our soul work, our spirit work is selfish, is frivolous, is unimportant, is self-indulgent, right? It's not practical, blah, blah, blah. No, we're meant to do this work on the planet. Like we're literally here to create the things that we feel called to create because it's going to make the world better in your lifetime. You're meant to do this work. It is not frivolous. It is not irresponsible for you to take the path that you're called to take, no matter what other people reflect back to you. You're going to leave a legacy of light, right? We become the ancestors. First, we work with them, we allow them to work through us, and then we become them. And the next group of younger creatives is going to take up the mantle and they're going to do this work. We are being asked to step into our lineage and our legacy so that we can become the good ancestors. We are meant to leave a legacy of light for the greater good of this planet, and we will be lovingly supported by the creative universal intelligence when we ask for this help, when we do this work. Your work is not just for you, it is for the benefit of all, but only if you actually do it. You have to do the work. So, what is the block we're experiencing to do the work? It's that it's not normal. We're being asked to go beyond normal. If you do this, which you should, right? Spirit says you should. If you go for the thing you want to go for, I need a sip of water. Um, you're going to be stepping out of the mainstream. Even to start your own business, you're stepping out of the mainstream. If you're going for a career in the arts, you're stepping out of the mainstream. Whatever it is, this thing that you want to do that feels like your soul calling is a bolder, more authentic, more trusting way of living. And it's going to feel riskier and less safe than going with the mainstream, going to college, getting the career in what you majored in, and staying in that career until you retire, blah, blah, blah. It's going to feel daring to live in a different way. The sacred rebel within our heart is always going to choose a juicier approach to life. And you are currently reaching this choice point. This is the block. This is why you're hesitating on taking the path. The choice is about balance. It's not about, do I choose the mainstream path or the creative path? It's not about setting up a false binary for your choices in life. It's not art or science, logic or emotion. It's not that. It's how do I integrate all approaches in order to enhance my life and my journey? We live in a culture that ranks, right? We put everything in a binary and we put everything in a ranking. Left brain over right brain, science over art, masculine over feminine, logic over emotion. Um, and we start to rely on all of this like more left brain way of living, logic and proof and complete sets of plans. And then we base all of our decisions on that. That's what we're taught we're supposed to do. That's what we're taught is we're supposed to trust, right? Like, don't make emotional decisions. Like, what? Everyone makes, first of all, everyone makes emotional decisions. That's ridiculous. But how often did you choose the quote unquote logical decision over the emotional one? It didn't work out. You were devastated and you were like, I should have just gone for the thing I really wanted to go for in the first place. We're already living in a culture that asks us to pick just one side, right? This approach prevents us from living more freely, more spontaneously, more authentically, and from having trust in ourselves and in what we know our path to be. I know what I'm supposed to be doing because I feel it. And when I'm off that path, bad things happen. So when we choose to value decisions based on passion and creativity and instinct and trusting in life enough to embrace it as an adventure and let it unfold, things go well. You're going to be okay. Society has trained us from the time we're little to be like, if you do that, it's going to be bad. You're going to have no money. You're going to end up living in a cardboard box under a bridge and you're going to starve to death. If you try to be a professional artist, if you try to go off on your own, if you try to not have a day job, like it's like everything's going to be bad. It's not true. It's just not true. Now, it's also important to understand this again is about balance. It's not pick one or the other. It's not be completely off in la la land, just being like, I don't know how I'm going to make money. It's all going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. It's not that. There's a time and a place for logic and strategy and planning measurable outcomes. Those are not bad tools to have. But when we worship them, when we allow them to quash our less rational but equally valuable decision making tools like intuition, like feelings, like those things that we know without knowing how we know them, we're cut off from half our wisdom. We have been asked to cut off half our wisdom, if not more, and rely only on the wisdom of our brain. I could make an entire detour about how bad this is because most of the time, the thoughts, quote unquote, that we're thinking are not logical or rational thoughts. They are just repetitions of things we've heard since we were children. and thoughts we've had before, and reactions and fear and anxieties. Like what's going on in our brain a lot of the time is not actually wisdom or thought. The idea that it is fucks us up. It's not. So we're being asked to cut off our intuition, our feelings, our inner knowing, and put all of our decision making into our brain. That's not a great strategy. We can know things from heart and intuition that have no conceivable basis in logical reason, but they're still accurate. And we're like, I don't know how often has that happened? You're like, I just know this thing. And people are like, how? And you're like, I don't know. I just know it. I just know that it's true. There are tons of different types of knowledge and wisdom in our body, not only from our brain. We cannot sacrifice the art of emotion, instinct, passion, and intuition and give it all over to mainstream decision logic making or mainstream decision making or logic or planning. You, especially you as a creative being, are being asked to stay open to a more intuitive approach in your life and your work and your creativity, as well as in your spiritual journey. Maybe try having like a loose plan, but how the plan gets carried out is going to be about the flow of responding to your surroundings. It's about letting go of trying to control everything and opening into a desire to nurture your ideas into fruition. So this is your block right now. You're experiencing pressures around you from the world and from your own internalized conditioning that you have to do things according to mainstream rules, or again, your family and what they think, or how you were raised, that you need this well thought out plan for success. What I'm really feeling about this is that this is very much related to creatives in business, right? Whether it's I want to be a professional actor, I want to be a professional dancer, I'm going out like trying to do my creative work in a professional way. I want to make movies, I want to write books, or it's I want to start this business, right? I want to have a healing business. And you're thinking, there's no way that I'm going to be able to fully step onto this path until I know 100% how I'm going to make enough money to live. And I have an entire plan for how it's all going to work. And if I can't figure out every single detail, I'm not going to start because it's dangerous and people are going to think I'm crazy. This is like you kind of just need to go for it and figure it out as you go. You need to trust that you're going to be okay. And yes, you're going to need to use your logic and your decision making, but like trying to control everything and wait until you have it all mapped out and have it all planned out first is not, you're never going to start. Sometimes the best plan is to do what feels intuitively truthful in the moment and trust that you're being led toward the right thing. You're being led toward your own growth. Adopting this approach requires less planning, more living. It is a more pure and more heart-centered way to manifest your life path, your art, your essence into practical expression in the world. This is about willingness to be led by your own nature, but also led by nature itself, rather than trying to control the entire force of life, right? You are trying to fit the ocean in a teacup right now. You need to let the ocean be the ocean and learn to swim rather than trying to put it into a vessel that is much too small. You're not going to be able to control nature. You're not going to be able to control the flow of life. That's not your job. Your job is to participate in it, to creatively participate in it. You are moving outside of mainstream. You're moving outside of the plan. So your block is that you know when you start living in your legacy of light, you're going to be living on the borders or even fully outside what is socially acceptable. And that's good. It is time to be an out and proud fringe dweller. It is time to let your freak flag fly. If there's people in your family who are like, you're fucking crazy, literally, I've been in business for 9 years and today my dad asked if my finances were okay. Like, my family doesn't get what I do. They do not understand where my money comes from. Me trying to explain to my dad that most of my business comes from Instagram, he doesn't even know what Instagram is. He's not in it. He's not on it. He doesn't have it. Like, the people around you may be influencing you from being on your path because they think it doesn't make any sense and they think that you're in danger practically and financially is really what's coming through. And you might be believing that, oh, if I do what I want to do, I'm going to be in danger. This is going to require you to break with tradition. You're going to have to live from your heart more deeply and expressively than you ever have before. And that is a legitimate, empowered, creative way to live that actually honors all of who you are. You're going to be breaking with tradition. You just are, in a way that is very meaningful to you and to others. And that means you're going to need to have courage. You're going to have courage in your conviction. You're going to have faith in the truth of your heart. You're going to have faith in your own inner knowing of what's right for you. And you're going to have faith that everything is going to work out and you're going to be okay. You're not going to run out of money. You're not going to end up living under a bridge. You're going to be fine. It is also going to help inspire others around you to step out of their fear more and live more freely and more lovingly when they see you do it and be okay. They're going to be like, well, damn, I never knew anyone who was a successful entrepreneur until I saw you do it. I never knew anyone who was successfully an influencer until I saw you do it. I never knew anyone who went out and made a career in theater until you did it. And now maybe I was wrong. They need that. You're not necessarily meant to abandon logic and intellect altogether, but you need to use your logic and intellect to serve the desires of your heart rather than replace all of your heart's natural spontaneity and truthful nature by trying to control everything with plans and strategies. So the block is like you afraid to get wild, but it's time to get wild. You got to get a little wild. So what happens when you do? This is really interesting because this card is in the position of the gift that you will receive when you remove this block. When you say, fuck it, I'm going for it. I'm going to live my dreams. I'm going for what I want. The gift that we get is relax the hold of darkness and be it cause. And this, I say it's interesting because it's really a gift and a challenge, right? Like having our shadows illuminated so that we can do shadow work as a gift. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the gift. The gift is surprise more shadow work. But the reason that it's surprise more shadow work is what this card really is about is like when you're moving from one level of reality to the next, from one um, level of experience to the next into a higher voltage reality. You're literally being lifted by spirit from where you're at now to your next evolution. And it is a level that's going to require more trust, more surrender to the heart of the universe so that life can happen through us and with us more quickly, more radically, more beautifully, more boldly. We're being invited into a new level of reality where things happen quickly and according to bold, loving optimism. So what is this is telling me is that when you remove this block, when you say, fuck it, I'm ditching the straight lace plan, I'm done being afraid, and I'm going to go in the direction of my dreams, all of a sudden, all of these synchronicities are going to start opening up for you. People are going to want to collaborate with you. Jobs are going to show up. Opportunities are going to show up. Big things are going to show up for you. And then you're going to get scared and you're going to want to go back to your old protection mechanisms. You're going to notice once you, okay, I said, fuck it. I didn't know how it was going to work out. And then suddenly it's working out really, really well. New level of fear unlocked. Now you're going to start procrastinating, second guessing yourself, doubting yourself, getting hyper independent, trying to do everything on your own. These are the things that have kept you safe your whole life. Your nervous system is going to freak out a little bit when you start to see success in this new arena. When it starts to go well, when you start to feel the universe rushing to meet you because it will, because they've been waiting, right? Like, okay, I asked my lineage for help. I asked source for help. I asked my ancestors for help. I asked the lineage that I'm through in my tradition to help me. And then I said, fuck it, I'm going for it. And then I started getting the help. Oh shit, now it's on me. Now I really have to show up and do this work. I have to do the thing I said I was going to do. I have to do the thing I said I wanted to do. And you're going to get scared. Your nervous system is going to freak out a little bit, right? Because part of you is going to be like, well, how can I stay safe if I'm no longer playing small, procrastinating, placing lesser priorities above my art and my soul calling and holding myself back? How am I going to stay safe if I don't hang on to my fear? So the gift is that all these opportunities are going to show up for you. And another part of the gift is that you're going to be confronted with the fact that you've always been taking the safe path. Well, I couldn't start my own business because I didn't fully understand how I was going to make money at it. I couldn't start my own business because my family was judging me. I couldn't pursue my career in the arts because people were going to think it was crazy. I couldn't do the work that I wanted to do because other people. That was always an excuse. It was always an excuse because you could always make it everyone else's fault. It kept you safe. Getting to blame everybody else as to why you're not doing the thing that you know you're on in your soul you're meant to do. It might be true, right? It might be true that your family's going to think you're crazy. But the longer we used that as an excuse, the longer we got to not be at cause. It's me. I was unwilling to be seen as crazy, but also I was scared. I was scared of the visibility. I was scared of the responsibility. I was scared that people weren't going to think my work was good. All the new fears that have been hidden by getting to outsource the, I'm going to say blame, but the responsibility for your life are going to be brought to the surface. You're going to see that you were always taking that safe, societally sanctioned path and holding yourself back because it kept you safe. And when you start to embrace your true path, you're going to see all of the ways that that's true, and it's going to be confronting, and you're going to have to do some nervous system work. You're going to have to do some somatic work. You're going to have to do maybe some therapy and some coaching to show your body that you are safe. It's safe for you to be seen. It's safe for you to express. It's safe for you to build your own business, trust your own insights. It's safe, right? Life is wild, but it is also wise. Water. Everything in nature evolves and matures according to seasonal cycles and right timing. And you are a part of that path. You're not separate from that process. So as you start to shift gears, you start to go after what you want. You start to ask for divine support. And all of these exciting and exhilarating challenges open up for you. You're going to want to turn away. That's what I want you to be on the lookout for. The part of you that's like, oh, this is too much for me. This opportunity is too big for me. Right? It's like the idea, the picture I'm having in my head is like, you decide you're going to go for it, and on a whim you like apply to be on a TV show, you submit yourself for something, you audition for something that you feel is like a long shot. You're like, there's no way this is going to happen, and you get it. And you're like, oh fuck, now I have to do it. I'm not good enough to do it. I'm an imposter. I shouldn't be here, right? The opportunities that are going to show up when you say yes are big. And there's going to be part of you that wants to turn away and is going to say, this is too much for me. I can't handle this. I don't belong here. And you're going to start to create excuses about how this thing you want, you're going to go back. This isn't practical. I can't do this. This isn't grounded enough. This isn't living in the real world, right? You're going to want to go back to that old conditioned logical way of doing things. That's just fear talking. That's not the truth. So I want you to be on the lookout if and when big opportunities start to show up for you starting to psych yourself out and say you can't do it. That's the gift, is that you're going to get to see the ways you hold you back, that it's not about other people. We're going to talk about this more in the next card. All of us need to be awakened. All of us, like the whole collective. We cannot all continue to make our choices out of fear, because that's how we create a culture that is drenched in fear and the distrust of nature, right? What is culture? Culture is just people. Culture is us, right? So if we live in a culture where everyone is driven by fear and everyone's taking the safe path and everyone's doing the old way because we're all too scared, then nothing ever changes. It's 1:11 as I'm saying this on the clock. Nothing ever changes. So we have to be the brave ones who decide that we're going to change. That's how we shift the culture. Nature knows timing. Nature knows death. Nature knows creative process, and she can be trusted to support us. We are her creations. We have to trust nature to support us in becoming all that we can become. This also doesn't mean you get passive and you just flow along and you're like tossed about like by a leaf in the wind and you're like, oh, I just trust the universe and I'm just going with the flow. No, it's about becoming empowered to really go for it. This is about bossing up on our own cause. This is about taking our own sails, right? And being like, I am going to act and affirm on the intuitive feelings and knowings that I am experiencing. I am following up on them. I am committing to bringing them into form. That's what's being asked of us. And when we do that, that's when all the opportunities are going to open up. This is about going for it and creating and speaking about your work. Hear me. Don't just make the work. You got to talk about the work to everyone who will listen. You got to start coming out and being like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going for. Yes, I know it's weird. Yes, there are people who aren't going to like it. Yes, there are going to be people who think I'm crazy. I'm going for it. The opportunities will come. You're going to get scared and want to go back to the old way. You're not allowed to do that. We need to trust without being passive. Both things are true. So we need to detach from the darkness. And the darkness is saying, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. We need to detach from getting into perfectionism. You just got to make the things you want to make. They might fly, they might endure, they might not. The gift is that you're going to dive off the edge of all that you have known and trust that there is so much more available to you when you do that. This is truly living, right? We said in the last card, less planning, more living. So the gift is that yes, everything is going to show up for you, and it's going to highlight all the shadow work you still need to do in order to be the person you need to be to build the life you want to build. Now, the guidance for dealing with other people during this transition is seeing the true you. And this is really interesting with all the other cards that have come, because this card is about how you don't think enough of yourself because you believe too much about what other people tell you you are or what other people in the past have told you you are. We need to understand that the accuracy of a reflection depends upon the clarity of the surface doing the reflecting, right? We see this woman, she's like looking at a reflection of herself in kind of a murky pond. That's not going to be a clear reflection. The accuracy of a reflection will always depend on the clarity of the surface doing the reflecting. People are not a clear reflective surface. No human is a clear reflective surface because they are coming to you with their own perceptions, with their own thoughts, with their own fears, with their own doubts, with their own experiences. It's not even necessarily through ill will, it's just the mechanics of being human. Even the moon reflects the sun with varying degrees of fullness and clarity. So, part of the reason you've been holding yourself back is that you've been too caught up putting too much faith in the reflections that other people have of you. So maybe you've been holding yourself back because other people, somebody in second grade said you couldn't do that. Somebody said you weren't good enough. You've been not pursuing the things you want to pursue because at some point someone told you you're not organized, you're not smart, you're not responsible, you don't have follow through, you're a procrastinator, you're not talented enough. Whatever it is, at some point in the past or even currently, people have reflected something inaccurate to you and you've believed it to the point that you're no longer honoring what you actually are and what you're becoming because you believe too little of yourself. I mean, we really got to think about this because this happens a lot. You're not going after your dream because of something somebody told you about yourself when you were a teenager. Like you can't change, like you have not become different and you will not continue to become different. The idea that like any characteristic is a fixed trait that's impossible to change, absolutely not. I don't even believe that there's any such thing as who you are. There's just how you've been and what you've done, and everything else is open for negotiation. So maybe at one point you weren't that responsible. Maybe at one point you weren't that organized. That doesn't mean you can't become responsible. It doesn't mean you can't become organized. Those are skills, right? So at some point, things that people reflected back to you about you, you believe, and you started believing above your own knowledge of self or above what you're capable of becoming. That's not going to work. As you start to break out of your current conditioned reality, as you start to honor your legacy and go for your dream, there may be people, right? Because I'm getting a strong feeling from some of this that it's family, church, There's people around you who are going to be like, you shouldn't do that. This is bad. You're not going to be good at that. That's going to be dangerous. You got to like can't you cannot put stock in other people's reflections of you during this time. It's going to send you back in your shell. I say all the time, don't listen to your hater friends. And a lot of times your hater friends are your family. And not just don't listen to them, but probably don't tell them. Like, don't tell them what you're working on. If you're really sensitive about stuff and you know they're going to say something to you that's unhelpful, even if it's coming from a place of like they want to be helpful, but they're not, don't tell them. Don't talk to them about it. Now, there may be some people around you who reflect you more faithfully or who try to help you see more of your own greatness and your own beauty. And that's amazing. If you're blessed with people who can show you your own beauty and expansiveness, that's wonderful, right? If you have friends who are like, fuck that, you totally are good enough. What are you talking about? You're so talented. You're so capable. You can do it. That's great. But this challenge is actually about not putting stock in what anyone thinks of you, whether it's positive or negative. This is about completely unhooking your sense of self from what other people reflect back to you. This is about your ability to recognize yourself, not through the eyes of others, but through how you feel about yourself and how you experience yourself and how you observe yourself with kindness and compassion, how you observe yourself from within. This is a radical level of empowerment and sovereignty. I'm not going to put stock in people who think negative things about me, but I'm also not going to go put all my eggs in the basket of people who think positive things about me. I'm going to put all of my stock in what I think about me. It's not about perfection, it's the opposite. It's about you understanding that you are lovable and that you have so much to offer, that some people will like you and some people won't, that people are always reflecting back to you parts of themselves. They're not truly reflecting you. So you are being asked to see not just your human self, but also the eternal within you, the slice of divinity that you are. This is about being open to the divine creative energy that flows through all life. You're not exempt. You're not uniquely separate from that. This is about being strong within your own sense of self, your own self-acceptance, and being able to hold acceptance for all, right? I accept that this person's limited perception makes them incapable of understanding what I'm doing. That's okay. I bless it and release it. This is a time to pull back from what anyone thinks of you, positive or negative. Let go of judgment and fear and tap into your own passionate creativity, your own unconditional trust in life. Again, there's that thing about trusting life to work out. What other people have thought about you or reflected to you about yourself has got you lost in the sauce. You are confused about what your own motives are, right? So if your family reflected to you for your whole life that you wanting to do the thing you want to do is frivolous or selfish or self-indulgent, that's impractical, that it's better for the family, right? If you be a doctor, that's better for everybody than if you be what you want to be. You have to step back and stop basing how you're moving on what other people say or how they respond to you and just focus on you. Now, some of this is because you really care about people, right? This is not bad. It's not like you care about people. You want to be a good person. You want to be a good son, daughter, sibling, family member. You want to be a responsible person in your community. And so, in your quest to care about what people think and feel, you have unintentionally taken on so many of the thoughts and feelings of others that you've made their reflection of you more important than your truth and more important than your reflection of yourself. And that's time for that to stop. So, again, reflections are about the state of the reflector, not what is being reflected. Your task right now is to let all those external perceptions go and just acknowledge yourself. The guidance from your spirit guides and your higher self is what is already within you, and it is that you already have everything you need to be successful. You already have everything you're looking for. All that you're seeking is within you. And this is a challenging idea sometimes because it can feel really great to imagine that there's something yet to find or discover. that you get to keep seeking. You get to keep staying in student mode. You're not ready to go out there on your own yet. It is part of the reason that you haven't been fully stepping into your legacy of light, because there's part of you that gets to believe, I'm not ready yet. I have to learn more, I have to do more training, have to figure more stuff out, have to make more plans first. I'm not ready. You're ready. Spirit says you're ready. Now, of course, there's always more to learn. There is unlimited creative potential to unfold. But in this instance, you need to know you already have everything you need to be successful. You already have everything you need in order to get what you want. You have to give up this fantasy that a perfect solution lies in the future somewhere, or a perfect plan that's going to make you feel ready to go for it and that you're going to be safe. Instead, you're being asked to acknowledge that everything necessary for your success is already within you. All you need to do is accept it. Act like you already have it. Act on what's available to you right now. Again, where am I already resourced? And act from there. This is good news. This oracle says that this particular chapter has a happy ending in store. And that ending is going to be real for you as soon as you stop trying to just like skip forward to the next chapter where it's already all worked out. Just be completely present in the now and start. Trust that the next phase is going to naturally happen without force on your part. Again, you don't need to put the ocean in a teacup. You just need to do your one little part. You might not feel like you have a lot to start with, right? A small choice to make, a song to start, an email to send, a conversation to have, a move to make. However small, it's enough to get the ball rolling. Do not make the mistake of believing that what you need in order to be successful is either ahead of you or behind you, right? Sometimes we get into that, oh, I had my window and I missed it and now it's over. Nope. It's not ahead of you. It's not behind you. And then also sometimes we put the power for it in someone else. It's another person is going to show up. An agent is going to show up. A manager is going to show up. A publisher is going to show up. Somebody's going to show up who's going to be the key. Nope. It's you. You have everything you need to take this step in your life. And from that step, everything else is going to flow. You are more ready than you think you are. You are more prepared than you realize. You don't need a whole army of resources to move ahead. But what you're going to find is that when you do move, resources are going to become apparent. So all that you need to get started is just that one first step, that one sweet act of nourishment of your dream. That's going to be enough to take you out of looking back and having nostalgia and regret, or looking forward and thinking that it's not ready yet. You just got to go with the now. Your message from Spirit is it's time to be brave and surrender to your path. Okay, so your final advice on how to bring all of this together is just bring it into form. You just got to do it. So this oracle says you're a dreamer. You can dream up so many possibilities. You have so many big ideas. They need to be more than ideas. They actually need to live. The world doesn't need your dreams. It needs your work. It needs your actual creations. It needs you to put the pen to the paper. It needs you to get to work. It is time to get to the desk, get to the easel, get to the studio, get to the computer, do the work. The ideas don't serve nobody in your head. We need them. Don't just dream about what you want to do. You have to actually create it. You are being asked to honor yourself with a commitment to complete your inspired tasks. Honor yourself and your lineage with a commitment to complete your inspired tasks. You hear the word complete? A commitment to complete, not a commitment to start 75 different tasks and let them live on your Google Drive and not let anyone see them. A commitment to complete your inspired tasks. This is going to help you grow. And that's a wonderful reason to commit, but there's another reason too, once again, which is that other people are going to benefit from your work. In order for people to be benefited by the work, you have to make it. It can't just be an idea in your head. You have to write the book so that people can read it so that it can help them. You have to make the movie so that people can watch it so that it can inspire them. You have to start the healing business so that the clients can come so that you can heal them. You have to make the thing. So this card says specifically, if you've been thinking about writing a book, painting a picture, going into some new phase of self-expression or business, at which we clearly are because we are being asked to honor our legacy of light. The message is do it now. Don't delay. Don't get worried about the details of how it's all going to work out. Don't get into how's it all going to make money? How am I going to make it make sense? The universe loves a bold spirit. Once you take a step, it will all come rushing towards you, opening doors. It will be a hand on your lower back guiding you forward. You will be promptly provided with all that is needed to take the next step once you take the first one. And remember, the gift and the challenge of that is going to be all of the support is going to show up and you're going to get scared and you're going to try to backtrack. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. It's telling you once you start moving, once you start taking action, you will be met with support. Another thing that's important about this card is that sometimes we're not taking action because there's a certain amount of grief and sacrifice inherent with any idea entering the physical form. Something will always be lost when we turn our concepts into creations because there's the way that we picture it in our head, and then there's the thing we actually made. And something I say all the time is that frequently your first vision is your fifth version. I'm going to say it again. Your first vision is the fifth version. When I picture something in my head, I'm not picturing the rough draft. I'm picturing the most complete, most perfected, most iterated version of the thing. And I have to understand that and know what I'm seeing isn't the first draft. I have to make the first draft, which will probably suck a little bit or at least pale in comparison to my vision, in order to iterate, to do the second draft, the third, the fourth. And then by the time I get to the fifth one, I'm like, there was the thing. Now it's starting to look like the thing I had in my head. But some of us get so defeated, so in the grief and loss of the first draft not being the vision that we quit or we don't make it at all. You got to let that go. You got to understand that the reason you're so inspired by the vision is that what you're seeing is a very refined and iterated version of the idea. And the first 5 to 10 to 100 of them won't be that good. And that's okay. You just got to start making it. You can't get to the fifth version if you don't make the first one, or if you scrap it because the first one isn't perfect. This oracle is also confirming that the information you need in order to translate your ideas into form is going to be provided according to the higher wisdom of life. So it might not happen by traditional routes. Even if it seems unimaginable, when it's time for something to be born into the world, when it's time for something to come into form, nothing can stop it. So you need to get out of your own way and go for it. It's time to just make the damn work. The commitment to bringing your projects to completion, I just want to say one last thing about this, because I've mentioned a couple times that you might need to get support. Like you might need therapy, you might need coaching, you might need to do some shadow work. That is part of the commitment to bringing our things to completion. When we say nothing's going to stand in the way of this thing being completed, that has to include us. I can't be the thing that stands in the way. My unwillingness to address my own shadow can't be the thing that stands in my way. And I hope that it's not the thing that stands in your way either. Cancer season. This is about deep introspection, getting out of our shell and acknowledging that the reason we have a shell is because we're very soft inside, very tender. And some of that softness and tenderness might need to be addressed so that we can create what needs to be created. The other part of Cancer, right, is the divine mother. What is it in us that needs to be nurtured and mothered into fruition? Needs to be like, come out, little one. It's okay. It's okay that you're scared. How can I help you? So if there is emotional work, shadow work, healing that you need to do in order to feel safe and capable to bring your work to completion, do it. That's how you honor your lineage. That's how you honor the gifts. All right, finally, our shadow for the season, and our shadow is the universe. So much of this, again, about trust and stop trying to control everything. This card asks that you fully trust that there's a plan for you and that you have the support of the unseen. There are forces at play that are much larger than you can imagine. You are part of a greater whole. You need to surrender to that which you cannot control. You need to trust in the idea that spirit is always orchestrating what is most needed. Rather than getting caught in negative what ifs, flip them. What if it actually all works out exactly how it's supposed to? What if it all goes great? What if this is exactly how things are supposed to be? Start asking yourself positive what ifs. Sometimes we are paralyzed in the practical world because we're waiting for spirit to show us the way, right? We want to see the whole plan before we act. But the universe co-creates with us. We are co-creators. So we need to be empowered as the human in this dense reality to show up for what we want and trust that spirit will match our effort. The universe will match your donation. Spirit is like the dollar for dollar pledge drive on NPR. They're like, hey, we have $5,000 here, but we have to raise $5,000 in order to unlock the $5,000 gift. That's life, right? That's you. You've got to show up and put in your part so that spirit can give its part. It's not like the Publishers Clearinghouse. You can't just sit in your house and do nothing and MBM's going to knock on your door and be like, here's your dream. It's not that. If you are someone who is always asking for signs or trying to wait and see how it's all going to play out before you make a move, you have to take a break from that and also trust yourself a little bit too. You trust the universe, you make the moves, it's all going to work. Does that mean it will all be smooth sailing the whole way? No. If as you go, you notice that you have more inner work to do it. And that's a nice little plug for me, because if you need help to do that inner work, you might need a coach, and I would be happy to help you. You can find me at intuitiveedgecoaching.com or Intuitive Edge Coaching on Instagram. All right, that is our reading for the season. I would love your thoughts. I would love your feedback. Thank you for those of you who are here live on Instagram and live on YouTube. Please leave your comments. And if you're listening on the podcast, Inner Game of Entrepreneurship, please leave a 5-star review. It really helps people find the show. Thank you so much for being here. If this felt accurate for you, please let me know. I love hearing your reflections about these readings. All right, that's it for today. Okay, love you. Bye.